Tone was just asking
Hey,
if he looks pretty.
I
And
do.
and I said yes. And I'm sure you all agree. So let's
Yeah.
show us the profile. Yeah,
Hmm.
sexy beast, you
I'm,
sexy beast.
I'm just trying to get rid of my peppermint. I just had it in my mouth.
Oh, that's okay.
It'll be away. It'll be
That's all right.
gone
Should
soon.
I also join you with the peppermint? I could do that.
Oh,
We could do it
whatever you
together.
like.
It could be people tuning in to watch us munch on our mints.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm gonna crinkle some wrapper. I'm going to extract the mint. I'm going to show the mint. I'm going to pop the mint in my mouth.
It's a lifesaver, isn't it?
Lifesaver, a part of living.
Lifesaver.
It's a
Oh,
commercial. It was a very big commercial back in the day. Right before we went live here, we were talking about what we were going to talk about. And Tone,
yeah.
you mentioned hearing, reading, learning about something.
Yeah. I heard this phrase on the internet. It was not a standalone phrase, of course. It was in a broader context, but you could put it in any context you like. It was called the bigotry of low expectation. And that's what was really interesting. It has a nice ring to it, but it isn't really that nice at all because it implies that a lot of people have that. If if you deem a person to be less competent or something like that, you are doing him a not a favor by treating him like he's lesser than anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So you already make the decision for somebody else that he's lesser than anybody else, and that means that you expect them to be not as gifted or maybe not as smart or do you know what I mean?
I
Something I
do.
thought it was
I
yeah, it was
I
very
do.
interesting.
I feel that that one sentence, that expression really opens the door for us to talk ad nauseum through several
Oh,
episodes. And
yeah,
you and I both have experienced that. I know early on in entertainment,
yeah,
you haven't lived unless you have at least one person who's in a position of authority, whether they're a casting director or something else, tell you
right.
to make it in the business. As a
Hmm.
writer, you know, if you've never gotten a rejection slip, you're not trying hard enough. And sometimes the rejection
Right.
slips are personalized and they tell you why. And usually it has to do with your ability to not write, according to these individuals,
Hmm.
or in a particular company, if you're trying to fast track, you know, people will always look at you. So here's a great example, actually, jumping back to entertainment. I was told if I continued to do only extra work, that was all people would see me as, was an extra. That if the perfect role that
Mm.
had been written for Ron came along
Yeah.
and it was called Ron and it was everything about me and I auditioned for the role, I wouldn't get it because people were telling me, not many, but a few, because you work as an extra, that's all people are going to see you as. Now, of course, that turned out not to be the truth.
Yeah.
But you know, I wonder about that expression, and I wonder about the other side. So there's got to be several sides to this. The bigotry of low
Yeah.
expectations is you don't believe someone is capable or competent, or they've demonstrated
Hmm.
they've demonstrated they are not capable or competent. Now,
Right.
what do you does that bigotry exist in equal measure for the person who you you find someone is just talking down about, but really they have the capacity,
Yeah.
versus the person who someone is talking down about who just can't get it right?
Well, it's a very simple explanation. If you can translate it to children versus adults, adults are very fast in saying, ah, well, he's just, or she is just a child, she can't understand. What do you mean a child can't understand? Of course, given the fact that a lot of children are, of course, not as wise and as adults, but surely there are a lot of things that children can understand. But it's very dangerous to make the reasoning up front that children are not able to judge certain situations or are not able to
Yes.
cope with certain situation. So you already it's already in our DNA, almost kind of to downplay children to because you don't want to hurt their feelings or you don't want to. There are a lot of different reasons can lead up to that particular stance towards children. And also, if you have like people who are mentally disabled, to have or a bit retarded, this bit a little bit disrespectful, but I don't mean it like that. But
Yeah, we can stick
the
with
only thing, yeah, but you have to
disabled.
treat, yeah, you have to. You have to treat people like they are full have their full capacities. You have to give them respect.
Yeah.
Because if you don't give them respect, they don't feel comfortable,
And
and
I
then
think
they don't feel comfortable. They live up to the
so
expectations that you have.
so
The
going
low expectation.
going back going back to a couple of things. First of all, you know, terminology evolves, right? Things that would have been okay for us to say when we were younger aren't okay.
Yeah,
And I think in this case, it's not necessarily PC or not PC. I think that word, for example, the word retard belongs in music, right? Because it's a music note. But
yeah,
when I know plenty of people that are on the spectrum. I know people who um a really really good friend of mine who he he's my better looking acting doppelganger. His name's Cullen, and they've got two beautiful boys, and one of them has Down syndrome. But the
yeah,
the kid's an artist. The kid is as eloquent. He's expressive. He's he's got better manners than most adults, right? And then I
yeah.
think about someone like Temple Grandin, who was on the spectrum with autism very, very clearly, though. But her parents, instead of letting her stay locked up in her room all day and all night long, they gave her an hour every day. And then because they lived on a farm, they said, okay, now go out, play with the animals, learn about nature.
Well,
So I think, and you're spot on with it's a dangerous thing to want to immediately classify a child as not understanding. When
right.
when Addison
Yeah,
was maybe 2 or 3 years old,
right.
I lost my temper and raised my voice for no reason. I had no reason.
Mm,
And
mm,
probably 10 minutes
okay.
later, I sat down next to her and I said, "Hey, Addison, uh, Daddy's sorry. I didn't mean to raise
Right.
this, and I apologize." And so this 2.5 year old reaches
Yeah.
over, pats me on the back, and she goes,
Uh,
"That's okay, Daddy. Sometimes people make mistakes."
there you go.
So
Isn't that a
there's
great example?
yes, and what happens is, um, we
Yeah.
as we get older, our
Yeah.
our ability to be creative, our ability to dream, our ability to see beyond the lines starts to harden the same way that glass or fiberglass or cement hardens, right? There's fluidity to it when it
Mm,
first gets poured. And when you're a kid, your boundaries of understanding are very fluid. We don't know what labels are when we're a kid. We're not looking for cubby holes to
nay.
shove people into. And I think that's another danger that comes from the bigotry of low expectations, which is you got to quickly assess and define that person
Mm,
based on a label or two. And man,
mm,
you may be so wrong. I've told you
mm.
what I thought I was going to encounter when I came to live in the Netherlands. I expected to find a bunch of people walking around stoned all the time, and maybe the laziest culture in the world because they were stoned and
Yes.
drinking beer. And
Absolutely.
it turned
Yeah.
out to be the exact opposite. I've never worked alongside or met a harder working people. Um, and if there's a drug problem, I didn't see it because as you pointed out to me, one of our first trips to Amsterdam together, you said
Yeah.
you can always tell the
Mhm.
tourist, and you're usually
Yeah,
either
tuurlijk.
yeah, they're German or
Yeah.
American or English or Belgian or French because they're walking around with a groot beer and a joint smoking on the street.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
the Dutch would never do, which I found really
Right.
funny.
Right. Right. Yeah. So but yeah, there's also this example of and we have it in the Netherlands in our society as well, because uh, the government always try to protect their citizens for certain things, because they say it very fast. We have to protect our citizens from drugs, or like there are a couple of zombies running around not able to make their own decisions, something like that. If you enforce that, or emphasize that people are uh, not smart enough to make smart decisions, then you create it sometimes with some measurements. You
How
understand what I'm
how
saying?
so? Give examples because I think what so when we talk about legislation at a national level in both the Netherlands and the US, we're almost at opposite ends of the spectrum because the states
Yeah,
can basically do whatever they want to, which is fine as long as it doesn't step on people's rights. But
yeah,
what's amazing is that powerful legislatures at the national level get yeah, tens of millions of dollars in funding, and they can take taxpayer dollars to spend it on really stupid things. And as a result, we don't have a single payer healthcare system. We don't have a national mass transit system. We don't have a
exactly.
national education program where people
Mm,
want to get a higher education beyond high school, whether
right,
we're talking about a
right,
trade
right.
or a university. None of that exists.
Mm,
And it's
right.
slowly being stripped down even more.
Yeah. So my point is basically that like if you say, well, you can't use drugs because it's bad for you,
Right.
and on a bigger level or a larger level, they would say, well, it's going to be disruptive for society, or they say, well, it's we have to keep the health of our population in check, or something like that. Whatever argument, but there are also um things that apparently don't matter at all if it costs human lives, or it makes people ill, like sugars in our food, like
Right.
driving around in dangerous vehicles, or they don't care if people are dying because of lack of healthcare. So that's a really disproportionate way of looking at things.
And those are
And
both those are
yes,
both things that have political origins, especially the sugar thing.
right.
There's a big expose that came out and talked about how in the early 1970s the war pitted sugar against fat. And
Yeah,
doctors were saying, look, all the information we have shows that fats are good for you. Fats have building blocks and protein, everything else. But the sugar manufacturing companies had doctors in their pockets
exactly.
with very open and unbiased reports about how sugar in measured doses wasn't bad for you. Yet, at a molecular level, if you look at the structure, the helix structure of sugar and cocaine, they look
Yeah,
terrifyingly similar. So
really.
yes, fat lost, sugar won, fat is still vilified, and that whole thing is
Right,
politically driven.
right.
I've noticed an increase in not just the amount of, but the types of sugar in Dutch items compared to 20 years ago. You know, used
Okay.
to be if you
Yeah.
had something added, it was just sugar. But now it's corn syrup, it's high fructose corn syrup,
High fructose corn syrup. Yeah.
it's
All
sugar,
this
it's
bullshit.
all of
Yeah.
these different things. And that people
Right.
need to be concerned about that because there's nothing healthy short or long term that comes from it. But that obviously
No.
is that boy, that's a topic we could definitely get into. But I think the thing with vehicles, because it's so easy here in the United States,
Right.
driver's license, people treat it as a right and
Right.
not a privilege. Very easy, very inexpensive. And I can't tell you, we have to insure ourselves against uninsured motorists. We have to insure ourselves for additional medical. We have to, this is auto insurance
Yeah.
because there's
Hmm.
a chance the person who's going to hit you will not have enough insurance if they have insurance at all.
Uh,
And
yeah.
and that starts with the lack of responsibility that comes from learning what it takes not only to get your license, but how responsible you have to be once you're on the road. And I think I mentioned it
Right.
before.
Yeah.
You know, someone the best way I'd ever heard it described to me, a friend of mine who's a fellow stuntman teaches these courses to kids who are getting they're learning how to get a driver's license here in high school. And one of the things he says to them before they get in a vehicle on a test track is every
Mm.
time you get into a car and buckle that seatbelt, think about the fact you're strapping a 5,000-pound missile to your back.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly that.
And
Yeah.
that's a real pivotal way.
Oh, also, yeah, yeah, oh, absolutely. And also, but the bad thing is as well in the with in regard with like insurances and motors and cars and stuff like that. It can be pretty darn expensive to get your car insured in the United States, as far as I know. So, and there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of money. So they have to drive a car. They want to drive a car. Either way, they don't have money enough to pay for the insurance. So yes. So if they would
Insurance,
make it cheaper,
I
and
agree.
if the top brass would skim off a little bit less money, maybe it
Insurance
would be more
companies,
affordable.
whether you're talking about
Yeah.
auto insurance, life insurance, health insurance,
Healthcare.
any
Right.
kind of insurance,
Yeah.
take a look at what the executives at the top, like you said, take a look at your C-suite executives and your CEOs and look at how much
Yeah.
money they're making. It's a fool's errand to believe insurance
Right.
companies are looking out for the people they're insuring. They don't care about
Of
anything
course not.
other than their
No.
stakeholders, which are their executives and their investors. The people who are insured are way down.
Absolutely.
You've got all these other people who they've got
Hmm.
to take care of first. And I agree with you. I think if we and boy, this is a conversation that we could really have. If we started looking at the practicality of building a mass transit system, maybe by starting in metropolitan
Yeah.
areas and then eventually creating these splines, these spokes to connect the different metropolitan areas,
Right.
sort of like the Netherlands, sort of like,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time who are traveling over there, the moment they start telling me about, well, we're flying into Amsterdam, we're going to be there a night, and then we're going to Belgium, and then we're going to France, then we're going to go to Germany. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't you just have one place as your base of operations and then get yourself a 2 or 3 zone rail pass? That way, if you find a
Yeah.
place you really like, you stay there overnight. But
Mm.
otherwise, you hop on the train and come back. You're not paying any more for it because you've already got this pass that
Right.
encompasses this whole zone. So
Right. That's true. Yeah.
it's such a pain in the ass
Yeah.
when you're traveling
Yeah.
to pack every night or every other night. I think
I know.
I think that's one of the charms of taking a cruise. I tell people it's like living like a turtle except with all the food you can eat. because your house travels with you.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. That's absolutely true. Yeah, I have to make a remark on the public transportation thing,
Yeah.
because what's really important is that if the United States would ever do it, I doubt it. But anyway, if they would do it, it has to be state regulated, because that's exactly what we had in the Netherlands, and that how we build up the quality of our railway system.
Hmm.
And now, but now it's all privatized, and now it goes,
Is it really?
yeah, the
So
quality
why
is going
did
down.
did mass transit become privatized because the state felt it was too expensive?
Cutbacks, yeah, absolutely, yeah. The same with energy and with well, public transportation. We were talking about the energy, healthcare. What's more? Well, a lot of shit. It's also all
Everything
privatized.
you
Yeah. So
everything you
there's
mentioned.
the profit incentive is built into it now. So it
Yep.
has to make money. And when it's state regulated, you don't have that commercial incentive. It's not
Right.
there.
Right. And
You just
I
have to make sure that you have enough money at the end of the line. That you can keep your business running. You don't have to make any profit. You just have to be
you bring up
self-sustaining.
you bring up a good point that I think
Yeah.
people
Oh,
should
socialism. Ooh.
well here okay, so when
Yeah.
someone gets in my face about that word, I say, okay, so if you don't like social, you shouldn't drive because the road
Yeah.
you're using is commingled dollars. And if you're walking to the park, you can't use the sidewalk because that was built with concrete from commingled dollars. Oh, and that park you're using, commingled dollars. You're sick. I'm
Hey.
sorry. You've got to treat yourself at home because the hospital was built with commingled dollars. Oh my God, someone's breaking into your house. Well, I guess you're going to have to stand your ground. The police can't come because that is commingled dollars. And if it's on fire, you better get your garden hose ready because commingled dollars. And people really get mad at me when I make that comment. But I say that look, socialism is vilified
Yeah.
by people who want to either scare you or don't
Right.
understand certain aspects of it. We are already living. We already live,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
the I don't think it's the DOT, but Amtrak is considered America's railway, and so
Yeah.
they get funding from the government, but you have quasi, semi-private or fully private rails like Brightline, but
Yeah.
there's not enough, and you need transit authorities that have enough power
Yeah.
to issue bonds and to maintain quality. Because my concern now with you telling me that
Right.
mass transit's been privatized is like you said, if the margin for profit is always right here,
Yeah. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter how much more things cost, the margin always has to stay the same. So,
Right.
so if they can cut corners, they will.
Yeah. I have a very interesting thought just right now, because um in the United States, like centralizing a lot of public services, like in the government, stuff like that. It's something that the Democrats would like to see, right? Am I right? Kind of.
Yes,
And
yes, I would.
yeah, the Republicans most of the time are against it, right?
Right.
Right. So the curious thing now happening in the Netherlands is that the socialists, they kind of went like, oh, okay, we need public transportation and we want it in place and everything like that. And now, and the right-wing politicians back then, back in the day, they decided to privatize everything. And now, interestingly enough, you have the center right and the right wing people, like the Republicans, the Dutch Republicans, kind of, so to speak.
Yep.
They go like, oh, wait a minute, we have to reinstall all the public transportation in the less profitable areas as well. They want to bring it back. So that's really interesting, this difference. You see? How about that? Hmm. So,
So that
and there are
that
more examples
is
like that. Yeah,
that
that's
that
kind of cool.
is that is the right there. That is the bigotry of the less affluent, right? because
Yeah.
here in the States, two great examples here in Florida.
Yeah.
There's a, in Central Florida, we've got a town called Eatonville,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I believe is the first incorporated city, which was incorporated by Black Americans, right? By people of color. And
Right.
um and when 95, no, when I-4 was being built, um they went right through the town, split it in half, right?
Right.
Uh in
Oh,
South
the I-4 is that's the
I
road that's
I-4 is
going
the
to the
interstate that
center of Florida.
little
Right.
informational lesson for everybody out there. An interstate connects
Yeah.
states. I-4 is, I believe, the only interstate that is in one state, which is Florida. It goes from the East Coast to the
Right.
West Coast.
East
Anyway,
Coast, West Coast.
I guess the loops,
Okay.
the 3-digit loops, are also part of that. So never mind. But in South Florida, I-95, when a section of I-95 was being built to complete, the the way it was routed, if you look at a map in South Florida of I-95, you see it go up like this, and then it does this.
Uh,
It makes this carve out, and it makes this carve out because the people who live in this area are affluent enough that they spoke to their congressmen, their legislators. They took their
right.
disagreement about the interstate cutting right through
Right.
their property, so it went around their property.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
down here we
Of
have
course.
money, our money speaks, interstate goes around, right? Further up,
So it was a money thing.
well, it was also a lack of money thing with Eatonville, 95 cutting right through,
Right.
I-4 cutting right through Eatonville, same
Okay.
thing. So, to your point,
Right.
the people, the people who need mass transit, typically, going back to what we were talking about with automobiles, are the ones who might not be able to afford having a vehicle, right, in the first place. And I'll be honest with you,
Mm.
if I didn't have to own a vehicle, I would not. I loved being able to go to the train. I love anywhere that I visit, like Chicago is a
Right.
great example where um, I would stay at Jack's house, and the train station for the Blue Line was less than a 5-minute walk. And then I can
Right.
get
That's
anywhere
right.
I needed to, whether I'm going to the airport, whether I'm going downtown. And
Mm.
that is important, because when you buy a vehicle, this, anyone who owns a car knows this. And for those of
Mm.
you listening who
Right.
don't have a car but are thinking about buying one, the price you pay for the car is just the beginning.
Right. Of course.
There's all the phantom expenses.
Yeah.
There's fuel, which we know about. There's maintenance, which you don't think
Mm.
about, whether it's a new or pre-owned vehicle.
Right.
There's insurance, which you don't think about. If you're driving somewhere and it's a toll road, there's the expense of tolls. There's so many additional expenses associated with owning a vehicle. Now,
Right.
if you live in an area that is densely populated and you've got to pay to park your car, holy cow. Ugh.
That's crazy. And also, you have to buy another one if this one is broken or
Yeah,
worn out.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
you have to take that into account as well. So
That's
you
right.
also have to save money during the period that you own it because you have to buy another one in the end. But that's old news. Everybody knows that. Ah, well, you might think that everybody knows, but no,
Well, we
not
don't,
everybody does. Yeah,
you don't think about those expenses.
especially young people.
No.
Especially young people, they don't think.
Oh, I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have technical difficulties, of course.
He was trying to call me.
Oh, there you are.
Somebody was trying to call me. Yeah, somebody was
Okay.
trying to call me. I pushed him away. They call me back later. That's fine.
There you
Maybe it
go.
was my doctor. Because I was just about to tell you, I had a very disturbing, a little bit disturbing news. I, they discovered that I had a fatty liver. So that was kind of a wake-up call for me because
What caused it?
everybody
Did they tell you what was causing it?
no, but I can guess it. You know, a lot of I'm back. I'm back. Hello, here I am
So
again.
you said you
It
can
was
guess
my
it. Did
Vodafone.
they?
Yeah, yeah, because everybody who's watching this podcast see me drinking a beer every once in a while. So I have to guess I have to stop,
So
at least for the time being, to get my
a fatty liver is
yeah.
called, I thought a fatty liver was caused by food diet, not alcohol diet.
Also as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
And, yeah, you have also because alcohol in your body turns into sugar, of course.
Right.
And there's also the alcohol. I'm sorry, the alcohol plus all the other ingredients in alcohol, in wine and beer, whatever, what have you. It's all bad for your liver.
So
And
another
so
example of why
yeah,
sugar is bad for you.
absolutely, yeah. And so yeah, I had to give up drinking. I have to get my liver back to health because because if I don't, it's going to be big problems for me at the end of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
We don't want the end of the line to approach any sooner than it needs to.
no,
Uh,
no,
spe
there's enough time.
speaking of end of the line, what a perfect segue because we are at the end of the line with this particular episode. Um,
Okay.
words of wisdom as pertains to health. Go.
Oh wow. Well, I guess it's with regard to wise. Okay. Do I feel wise today? I guess I do. Not all the time, but anyway. Yeah, well, I kind of learned the last couple of days that yeah, you can do whatever you like. You can do whatever you want if you have to, because the trick is that you have to do it before you have to do it. You have to do you have to do it before you have to do it. Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah,
understand, and
that's
I'm
kind of
sure they do
strange.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, because now I was confronted with my fatty liver. And then all of a sudden, stopping drinking is way more easy than you ever thought. Yeah, because I'm a Heineken aficionado, as you know.
Hmm.
So, but that's a little bit over now. So, and anyway, I have to for 1 month or at least 2 months. I shouldn't drink at all, and it's very easy now. I don't have a problem with it, and I'm losing weight already as well. So
Right.
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm feeling
Good.
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 I it's yeah, I like it. I like it. So maybe I'm not going to drink at all, or maybe a special occasion, but not on a daily basis. I like drinking every day, like a couple of beers. Nope, not going to do it anymore. So wise words for everybody. Go and do it because you will catch up. It will catch you up in the end. And
Right.
you always go like, it's somebody else. You know, doesn't happen to me. Of course not, but it does. That's
Yeah,
the
because
wise.
somebody else is also saying somebody else, and that somebody else is you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I have to cut back on it, and so I took the advantage of combining it with my diet. I'm on a diet now as well, so I'm done with all the freaking body fat. Gone with it because I have to. I want to feel healthy again. So I'm on my way
All
for the
right. Well,
rest
you
of my
know
life.
what? I think we'll continue and pick this up in the next episode because I like this. I like this.
Back on track.
This was a nice shift. We started with you know bigotry of low expectations, and now we're talking
Right.
wellness and health. So
And I had there's one for you. I had low expectations for myself as well because I never thought I could do it. But if you have to, you can. There you go.
yep. Ladies
Water.
and gentlemen, thank you as always for listening and watching and tuning in. And as Tone always says and reminds you,
Like and subscribe. to our podcast.
That's right.
And
Tell your
yeah,
friends.
and share it with anybody you like or
Yes.
don't.
This sharing is caring. So do it.
Ja, tuurlijk.
That's
Oké,
right. All right.
later.
We
Later.
we've got to say so long for now, but we'll see you on the next one.
Ja.